Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a science fiction western thriller film, Westworld. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. In the future year of 1983, thanks to the high-tech advancement, people can enjoy their vacations in more diverse ways than ever before. To attract more tourists, the businessmen develop an adult amusement park called Delos, which features 3 highly realistic worlds: the medieval world, the Roman world, and the Western world. The residents of these worlds are all programmed robots with high intelligence. While the human tourists can pay to visit those worlds for their dreams that they can't pursue or imagine in the real world without violation of any binding laws and rules promulgated in human society. Peter just gets divorced from his wife and is eager to find some funds to distract himself from the depressions. Right at that time, our friend John invites him to visit Delos Park. They decide to enter the Western world, hoping to experience the so-called utmost freedom and primitive violence of the Western lifestyle. Later, they take a shuttle to the tourist center for cloth changing. They all dress up as a real Western cowboy, with long boots, hats, and most importantly, the Western-style revolving pistols. With all set, they enter the Western world. Peter is shocked to find the Western-style settings everywhere. He's lit up soon by such a fantastic realistic world because of his virgin visit. While John, a repeat visitor there, has already become familiar with the settings. He then takes Peter to a pub to grab some drinks. Right then, a robot gunslinger comes in and tries to provocate Peter on purpose in both body gestures and words. Knowing that this is just a set duel for amusement, Peter builds up his courage from John and falls into gunfire with the robot guy. As expected, Peter terminates the robot gunslinger very easily. The first killing turns to be so real and bloody, making Peter confused and lost for a while. But John calms him down and tells him the weapons are all designed with a protection mechanism that could only be triggered to shoot the cold bloody robots, will not harm humans with high body temperature. Later that evening, John takes Peter to a brothel for some hormone fun. Peter can't hold his desires any longer and shows his exceptional taste to an old-style street girl. He then rushes his hormones with the robot, fantastic but too fast. 2 minutes later, however, Peter is exhausted and falls asleep soon, just leaving the robot street girl shocked and confused. Meanwhile, on the other side, the damaged robots are reclaimed as scheduled and taken back to the factory for maintenance by the park's maintenance team. Learning of the recent increasing malfunction rate of robots, the supervisor raises his concerns, believes that the park should take actions to lower the malfunction rate before it's losing control. After urgent maintenance of the damaged robots, the 3 worlds are recovered to business the next day. While Peter is lingering on the aftertaste of his fast hormone exercise last night, the recovered robot gunslinger breaks into John's room and tries to take revenge against the nasty 2. Fortunately, Peter overhears the confrontation and rushes to shoot dead the robot guy. Because of that, Peter is later sent into prison for punishment. In order to save Peter out, John asks an attendant to help deliver bombs secretly to Peter. Expectedly, the prison is blasted open. Peter escapes out and takes the horse prepared by John, who kills the chasing police before running for life. They run all the way to a desert, where they take a break and feel extremely satisfied by the plots they've experienced. Right then, John gets attacked and injured by a robot rattlesnake, making them begin to worry about the injury that is not supposed to happen in the realistic world, due to the setting that the robots could never cause harm to people. Noticing that, the park supervisor orders to have a thorough check on the robot snake, but finds no technical issues. He then proposes to shut down the park temporarily for the safety concern, but gets rejected by the board, who seem to care about the revenue only. As more and more robots are found malfunction, the technical team rush the hour to troubleshoot the technical issues, but still could not spot out any. Meanwhile, in the medieval world, a tourist plays the king in a programmed fight and is supposed to defeat a rebellious robot knight so as to get his reward. During the following fight, however, no matter how hard he tries, the man can't take any edge over the robot and loses the fight in the end. And to everyone's shock, he even gets stabbed to death. The technical team try to shut down the rampaging robot, but to no success, for the robot is now not under their control anymore. Without any choice, the supervisor orders to turn off the main power of the whole park, which however, ends up making the situation worse. The robots, powered by spare batteries, run amok without surveillance, and begin their attack on the panicked tourists. The same occurs in the Roman world, where robots attacked unarmed tourists. During the chaos, many innocent tourists lose their lives. What's worse, due to the power outage, the maintenance team are all locked inside the control room automatically, and they are suffocating due to lack of oxygen inside. Meanwhile, in the Western world, when Peter and John are wandering on the street, they run into the robot gunslinger again, who traces them down and attempts to challenge them to a cowboy-like showdown. Not knowing that chaos happens somewhere, John rises to the challenge bravely, but instantly gets killed before he could draw his gun. Peter is horrified by the sudden accident after confirming his friend is dead as shit. He struggles to run for his life, in fear and despair, but is followed tightly by the gunslinger, who's updated with infrared scanners. After escaping out of the small town, Peter encounters a panicked maintenance guy during his runaway, and turns more desperate when learning the park's losing control of the robots. The guy tries to share with Peter some ways, which might help destroy the crazy robots, but is soon killed by the gunslinger, coming in the far distance. Peter continues his escape, and finally makes it to the Roman world at the other side, where he only finds the Roman world turned into a mess, with dead bodies lying everywhere. Moments later, Peter discovers a manhole. He then takes shelter inside, and follows the underground tunnel all the way to the control center. He wants to ask for help from the park management, but only finds the maintenance staff have all been suffocated to death. Seeing the robot is still chasing behind, Peter has to depend on his own. Later, he comes to a maintenance workshop, where he finds many containers with acetic acid. As he hears the footsteps approaching near, Peter lies on the desk, in the guise of a damaged robot, and sprays all the acid liquid at the gunslinger. While the acid slows down the gunslinger, Peter takes the chance to flee away. However, the robot guy follows up soon, with the aid of infrared scanners. In despair, Peter races all the way to a castle in the medieval world, where he sees the robot queen and knight stay still, due to the dead batteries. Right there, the gunslinger approaches near. However, due to the disruptions from the flaming torches, the gunslinger could not locate Peter this time, even through its thermal sensor. As a result, Peter stands still, and takes a chance to set the gunslinger into a big fire. As Peter walks through a gateway of the dungeon, he hears cries for help from a dying girl, who's enslaved there. So he saves the girl, and feeds her with some water, which however, only causes short cuts to her, and makes her collapse totally. He's then astonished to realize that the girl is actually a robot. Right at that time, the charred-up gunslinger shows up before Peter, but fortunately, can't make any attacks on him this time. Soon it breaks down, and collapses into pieces. In the end, after surviving the whole disaster, Peter feels extremely exhausted, and lies down, with the ironic promotion slogan for the amusement park looming in his head. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Peace out.